So what is a container? A container is a very important aspect of the layout structure within Foundation 6. And its initial, probably most important feature is that it's in charge of constraining the width of your content to the maximum site width that's set inside site styles. So if we look inside site style settings, you'll notice that here we have a maximum width set of 1200 pixels. Essentially, what this setting does is that it actually controls the maximum width of the container stack, of all container stacks on the entire page. So if we were to look at this content here, if I preview this, you'll notice that my content is actually a maximum 1200 pixels wide. Now, if I were to take these, let's take a copy of these two columns and put it above. So now I have a 2-column stack above and a 2-column inside my container. If we preview this, what you'll notice is that 2-column stack now goes the entire width of the browser window. You'll notice up here, it goes over here, whereas the one that's inside the container stack actually is contained, and it is actually has a maximum width of what we have set inside site styles. So let's look at the settings on what else we can do with the container stack. If we look at the settings here, the HTML tag allows us to define, for accessibility reasons, what this is, right? So if you're familiar with from Foundation 1 days, this is similar to the structure stack, where we can define this as a header, or this is a nav, or it's our main, right? Main tends to be like the main body, our main content of the page, right? So a lot of times we could do header for the header of the page, like our banners and stuff like that. There is a footer, right? And that defines where the footer is. This helps, again, for accessibility reasons, as well as search engines, to define what the parts of the pages are, right? Another popular one is aside, which is a sidebar, okay? We'll have more info on a lot of these other settings when we do some videos on accessibility in Foundation 6. Next up, if you want to make the container go full width or have full width plus a little gutter on the outside, you can do that as well. It'll basically not obey the setting inside site styles if you set this to full width. Next thing is overflow. And most of the time hidden is probably the setting that we want. However, if you're going to have something like a drop-down menu or something that is potentially needs to break outside of the bounds of the box, you're going to want to make sure that this is set to overflow visible. Now, a lot of times when we're defining alignment for our content, we want the alignment in an entire section to be similar. So as a convenience, you can actually define the content alignment for everything within a container. So for example, let's say I wanted this to be centered, right? If you notice right here in edit mode, everything that is inside the container is now text aligned centered, okay? And when you define an alignment on small devices, you can also define different alignments for medium and large sizes as well. Next up is visibility. You could define, all kinds of visibility. This is the standard visibility that is used across all of Foundation 6 stacks. Now, this next feature is actually really handy. And this allows us to define an anchor ID directly in a container. Because a lot of times when we're building out our websites and we want to link to particular sections in our page. So for example, if I just call this anchor ID section 1, now linking to your container is actually really simple. We have an anchor button stack that allows you to, if you add this to the page, simply type in your anchor ID in here. And this button will now link directly to that particular section on your page. Now, let's say we wanted to link to this via a link or a menu item. That's really simple to do as well. If we just add a menu item in here and we click on our link item. Now, when we click on the set link, and this is the same for menus, or if you just have text links on the page, just put in a hashtag in your section ID or your anchor ID in there. That's configured in container. And now that particular menu item or link will link directly to that container.